Hi everybody, my name is Carrie and welcome back to another video. Alright guys, we are in the normal spot, not in my other spot because I am like sitting all comfy and stuff and I didn't want to move over there because I didn't want like every single video to be recorded like literally across yonder. So we're back with my very messy setup. But I wanted to come on here because I feel like one of my most beloved style of videos is my what I crocheted in a week video. I have not been doing, many at all just because of the fact that I haven't been like doing markets. And honestly, my first market is not until potentially April. I'm just waiting to fill out the deadline, but it's a market that I did like 4 times and they're usually take repeat people back. But I don't know if I got into any other markets, so I'm kind of feeling a little bit lost with the market prep because I'm like, what do I market prep? How much do I market prep? Like, it's definitely more difficult when you don't really have like a clear goal in mind, especially in my case because I'm like, okay, if I get into a convention, I need to market prep like completely different stuff than like what I would market prep for like a normal everyday market because I'd want to do a little bit more character work, anime work, but I don't know if I got into the convention, so I'm like, what do I do? I mean, I don't think I'm gonna get into the convention, but still, it's kind of one of those things. It has been a hot minute since I've done one of these videos. Honestly, it's kind of boring of what I have because I have just been working through my list. And so I think I've mentioned this before. This is my list that I have right here. So I've actually gotten a few things done, but this is how I pretty much keep in track what I need to do. I write down preliminary numbers, like what I kind of want to hit first, and then typically I have to change things, typically I add things. I also have some new patterns written down, like trying to write things down too to also remind me to remake things because like some of these patterns I need to remake, but it was like kind of like, oh, I only made them in the spring, so I would not on a normal day like really think about remaking it. Write it down, make it easy. Write down the numbers that I'm aiming for. It just makes life a little bit easier because I tend to, like when I market prep, if I have to make 8 of an item, I would rather just make 8 of that item, move on with my life and not worry about it. I don't like to do like 1 or 2 and then make something else and then 1 or 2, like I just want it done. And so writing it down like this helps me a ton. And then as well, it also lets me see the numbers that I need to make. Like some days I'll show you, like I had penguins that I'm gonna show you guys later. Like the penguins and everything, I only needed to make 1 of each color. So I ended up just deciding, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna knock all the penguins out. I'm good on penguins. And that's typically how I do this stuff. But I always have a number next to it. So larger items are typically 1 to 2 that I plan on making. And then smaller items like I'm gonna say like my little mini sloths and whatnot, I'll put 8 down, plan to make that as an original number. And I can usually make that in 1 day. Sometimes it might be like 1.5 days. It honestly just depends about horses, barn, all the other work that I have to do. I am gonna show you guys basically what I made. It's not that many different items, but it's a lot of quantity, I guess you could say. Because honestly, it's like nothing crazy. I do have 3 new patterns, technically 4. I only have one of the new patterns. So going in 2025, I think I mentioned this, I dropped some of the patterns that I did in 2024. I actually am gonna try and make a video going over some more of those patterns. But I always, of course, if you guys have been following this channel long time, you know that I always add new patterns every single market that I attend. Because I have this like really long break and I don't really have quite like a lot of plans, I think going into the first market that I do in April, I'm gonna have so many new patterns because I'm like already have essentially like almost 4 new small patterns. I'm not even talking about all the large items I've done recently. Right now I'm doing a pattern test for Pebbles Crochet and she is the one who actually did the Vaporeon before, and so I'm doing a pattern test for her cute new Eevee Evolution foundation, which I'm gonna be kind of talking about in my other vlog of crocheting it. I've got most of the parts crocheted, not everything, and I need to paint the eyes. And guys, I finally went out and got like UV resin. So tonight I'm gonna try and officially paint my first eyes with UV resin for that Pokemon. So I'm looking forward to that. And then as well, I saw a super cute bunny. Like, I don't need to do a bunny. I have so many bunnies, but I was like, oh, it's so cute. I want to see if I can make it cute too. So I have been working on it. I just kind of got the body done, and you know, I got to start stuffing it and whatnot. And they use pens. I don't use pins with my crochet work because I don't really feel like that would be the safest thing for kids. Like, I understand the concept is so much easier and you can like move the pieces, but all I can think is someone might get stabbed by those pins, and it terrifies me. So I'm gonna have to sew everything on, but like, this is the upper body, right? And then this is gonna be the legs. It's gonna be big. I didn't expect it to be this big. I am so happy that I decided to crochet this in parfait, because if I had crocheted it in Sweet Snuggles, it would be huge, and I don't need something that big. So very good pat on my back that I like kind of had this idea I was gonna do it in parfait, because yeah, Sweet Snuggles, it would be like this big already, and I haven't even touched the head yet. And I have been asked recently about my yarn line that I have discussed about. It's amazing. I have been going back and forth working on trying to find the appropriate manufacturer for months. I mean, I feel like at this rate, this has been going on for close to 6 to 7 months that I've been trying to find someone. It's a lot of messaging, a lot of ordering samples, which takes forever, getting samples in, getting disappointed by sample quality or things not matching up quite as you thought. And so I'm not gonna promise anything, but I have found a potential manufacturer that is very promising, like really promising. I'm waiting for the samples to come in the mail, but I have a good feeling about this one. I also have a good feeling about the fact that I can change the sizing of the yarn. So there are options for this particular manufacturer where I could actually potentially get a yarn the same size as Sweet Snuggles Light, which is crazy, and it'd be a Chanel based yarn, because that has been a problem, because Sweet Snuggles Light is so much bigger that it's not matching up with a lot of samples that I have received, and then like I don't like the material and texture and everything. I ain't gonna say anything because I don't have the samples in front of me, but I have talked to the person, we've sent lots of pictures back and forth, and as of right now, it's showing really good promise. And I'm also getting a sample in for another type of yarn that will be similar to Premier's Little Bunny. So that kind of fuzzy textured yarn. So I'm getting samples in for that as well. So I'm really excited. Of course, by the time this video comes out, it's still gonna be a couple weeks. It takes weeks. It's like a month or something to get samples in. I just wanted to give that update because I feel like my last video, somebody had asked me about the yarn and I was like, okay, let me just... I was really disappointed, and like, I mean, I have spent hours, and finding this potential manufacturer like took me hours to even get a lead. I'm just so surprised. So we're gonna see how that goes. I'm gonna hope that everything is what I have been receiving on photos, because if it is, we'll be cooking with bacon. I want to go over these new items and show you guys what I have made recently. Now, I'm not going to include everything that I have made because there is so much more. Back there behind me, there's like a little blue thing, right? That has squids in it. That alone has 8 squids that are not completely finished off. Like, they don't have the facial expressions and whatnot. So I'll probably put that into the next What I Crocheted in a Week video because of the fact that I don't know how much I'm going to crochet. Now, granted, it is supposed to storm here in Georgia this weekend. We are supposed to have snow, what in the world? It never snows in Georgia, and if it snows, it literally shuts down the whole city. And they're saying like 6 inches of snow, and I have a farm I'm supposed to take care of, so it's gonna be horrible. It's gonna be miserable, and it's supposed to stay super cold next week, which means it's gonna stay frozen and the snow is gonna be sticking around, so I'm not looking forward to that. So I don't know how much crocheting I'm gonna get done next week, so we're gonna carry those squids over to the next video. And I've got tigers and stuff that will carry over to the next video as well, because they've not been finished off. But I think what I first am gonna do is I'm gonna show you guys the continuation patterns from 2024 to 2025 first, and then we will briefly go over the new patterns as well. And I'll probably give you guys an idea of what I'm potentially going to be pricing them at. I kind of have a good idea, but the pricing could definitely change, but I'm pretty certain I kind of know what I'm gonna do. And then, you know, then it goes to take it to the first market and see what happens at your first market if you need to adjust the pricing or whatnot. So let's start off with the penguins I mentioned about. I have, I think, like 2 or 3 gray penguins left over from 2024, and I didn't really feel like the need to remake it because I was like, I mean, penguins are kind of one of those things that my normal penguins sell worse than my colored penguins. Like, I can go to a market and I don't sell any normal penguins, but I always typically sell one colored penguin, which I always find really funny because I would always think penguins like the gray, but all the other colors I at least sell kind of like one, and I won't sell any normal. So the first one I have right here is the blue variation of this little penguin, and this penguin pattern is by Crochet by Jenna. I remember that because I was looking at the creator the other day, but this penguin pattern is by Crochet by Jenna. So I have the blue one first. I have this purple one here. I would say generally I feel like the purple and blue sell the best, but I don't really know if there's a big difference between like the pink one, but the colors definitely sell better than the regular penguins. I have this pink one. Now guys, I don't know if you have seen this. Sweet Snuggles Light and Chanel Home Slim, I don't know what's wrong with everyone's yarn recently, but y'all are on some stuff. I don't know, Michaels. You're gonna be hearing from my doctor, so I keep having all this wrist pain because what in the world is going on? It has been so bad recently, and y'all know if you've been around my channel for a long time that I generally buy my yarn in bulk, right? It's a lot easier for me. I always get like a lot of discounted, like I can get a ton of yarn for not that much money by the time you do like the bulk pricing, and then I always have vouchers. So I can usually, every time I shop at Michael's, I usually do it online, and I can walk out of there typically saving anywhere from $300 to $500. So I always buy things online, right? I don't know what is going on, but recently the quality is like horrendous. And of course, because I bulk bought things, I have found my hands on some yarn that is not very good. And it's not necessarily that the yarn is absolutely horrible, it's just it's not as easy to crochet with. Like, I'm low-key getting brunette vibes. It's just been a pain. So like this little penguin, the pink is made with the, what I would say, whatever, the different quality, but you can't necessarily, I don't know if you can tell as much from the smooth. There's just a slight texture difference. To me, it's almost like the actual yarn kind of looks like a little fuzzier versus the top. I feel like the top ones are much smoother. Then these guys kind of have like a textured, fuzzy kind of appearance to them, but crocheting this kind of killed my hands. I was not McLoving it. It was painful. Everybody knows the little chicks. So I've got these 2, and then I've got these 3. So all in all, I've got, I believe, 8 chicks in total in my box right now, which is exactly what I wanted. I wanted to get back up to 8. Like, you guys know I always have my base amount that I like to have. So for chicks, mallards, and roosters, it's typically 8. So I did the chicks first because they are the single color, of course, and then I'm gonna start potentially working on the roosters soon, and then probably the mallards. Because I crochet in 2 separate areas, so like this is the crochet room, right? It's trashed up. I need to clean it again. I keep bringing more stuff in here. This is the crochet room, and I have all of my yarn up in here, right? When I let my horses down in the morning and it's the morning time, I sit downstairs. And when I sit downstairs, it allows me to be able to look out over the pastures, make sure the horses are okay. You never know with horses. I have seen literally everything. Like, I have seen horses pull their blankets up off their backs and like almost halfway over their necks. I've seen them get stuck in things. So I always like to keep an eye on the horses when they're outside. But with that being said, it's a lot harder for me to have my yarn downstairs because I don't keep yarn downstairs. So typically when I'm downstairs, I'll try and crochet things where it's like one color, maybe two colors. So I don't typically do something like the mallards downstairs for say, because in that single pattern alone, I'm doing like what, 4 colors: brown, white, green, yellow. Typically do those guys upstairs, but at the same time I typically do my large patterns upstairs. So the mallards haven't quite happened. The rooster will happen because I don't have to bring as much. I also have a lot of patterns on here that I could easily do with just my one skein and call it a day. So continuing on with the pattern that I'm carrying over, this is a pattern that like I go back and forth about because sometimes I don't sell any, and then some markets I'll sell a couple, but because it is a fairly easy pattern, it's unique, and because it is one of my lower priced items, I decided to continue to carry it and just see. So the first thing I have is I've got these little pop-up mushrooms. So I ended up, we got a lot of yarn fuzzies up in here. Sorry about that, guys. I gotta clean them up before I put them in the box. But I have the pop-up mushrooms that I typically do. I made, I believe, 8. So here is 5, and then here is 3 more. So I made 8 of these guys. I ended up alternating between, I can't tell you what red this is on my camera. It's making it look a little brighter, but then I also have, I think this is poppy, so this one's a little darker. So I ended up alternating between the two because I had the 2 choices, but honestly I have a ton of this darker red, but the skein that I opened was kind of like pulling a Sweet Snuggles light on me, and it was kind of like crap, so it was hurting my hands. I ended up doing the light red because it's a little softer, but I've got 8 of them and they're a continuation from 2024. Now let's move on to the new patterns that I'm going to be carrying over to this year. I'm gonna link these in the pattern doc. I believe I should be back to working on that. I feel like I can get into it now. If not, it will be in the description. Sorry guys, my dogs are having a party outside. I apologize if you hear them. The first one I have, and I only have one of these right now, is I have the little pocket octo or jellyfish things. So I made this in Premiere opposed to Sweet Snuggles, so it's like really small. But at the same time, I think I am gonna make a few more of them in Premiere because I'm trying to find the $10 to $12 range items. I do have quite a few, but I feel like I typically, when I make things, seem to always add to the 15, 18. I haven't really added many patterns to the 12. Like I have my possums, stingrays, whales, leggy frogs when I'm dropping leggy frogs. And I feel like that's, oh, pop-up mushrooms, but I feel like that's pretty much all of my $12 items. So I wanted to try and add something new, but I have a feeling this could actually just be a $10 item, which would actually be really good because I don't have any $10 items. And a lot of times you get little kids and they only have so much money to spend. I made one of these, but I am planning to make a few more. It's just like I kind of had enough time to make one, and typically when I find a pattern I just make one and then I sit on it for a couple days and then decide if I want to keep doing it. Alrighty friends, continuing on with another new pattern. I'm gonna try and show you guys this. It's just I have 4 of these apples. Let me just hold one, but I've got 4 right here. This apple pattern is from the same pattern that jellyfish is from, and this is it. And I don't know why I wanted to do an apple. Like, I think I was more so looking for patterns that also did the pop-up thing because that's definitely very popular with kids. And this was an apple pattern and I was like, okay, I don't have any apples, and I was thinking maybe along like the teacher route because apples are really big in school. So I ended up deciding to do 4 of them. I'm not 100% certain how they'll do because I feel like you gotta really like apples or like and they're not like they're cute, but they're not animal cute. Does that make sense? I mean, I think it's kind of cute. I added the white around the eyes. The original pattern did not have white, and I did add blush to one of them, but I felt like the blush was like a little too overkill because then it needed a smile and I didn't like the smile on it. So I just did these guys. So I got 4 of them. I think I'm probably gonna sell them for 15, I believe. It would either be 15 or 18, but I think 15. It really didn't take that long. And you do have to sew the leaf on, but I feel like that is such a minimal sewing that doesn't really bother me. Like, it's nothing like some of the other ones that I have. I've got these 4, and this is a new pattern as well. This next new pattern really gives me Angry Bird vibes, but I'm hoping someone thinks they're cute. So the next one I have right here is I have these cardinals. So these are the first 2. And then I also had 2 more in the same kind of, 2 was poppy and then 2, I believe this is ruby, I think, from Parfait. I made these guys in Parfait as well. I believe this was the first one that I made. I don't know if you can get this pattern. I don't believe it's for sale on their Etsy, but this is from Madeline May Co. I got this pattern because I'm part of their Patreon. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that you have to be part of the Patreon to get these. It was part of this like Pocket Pal release thing where there was a ton of other small items, so don't quote me on that, but I won't have a link to this one because I don't have a listing to link you guys to. But Madeline May Co is the one who made these. So I've got these cardinals, but like I said, I've got 2 of each color. Super cute. I wanted to try and bring some more birds to the mix. I feel like the birds are kind of universally loved, and the chicks and the mallards and roosters do fairly well, and I've heard some people really like cardinals. So I went ahead and I made 4. We're gonna test them out, see how they do. I actually, in my opinion, like the darker color more than the brighter color, but I understand that brighter is probably more what people think of. They low-key look like Angry Birds. I did add white like around the eyes and everything, but I hope somebody likes them because yeah, they kind of look like Angry Birds. Like, I need to, I guess, make the other Angry Birds and they can all be like a little trio together. Alright guys, and now moving on to the last new pattern. Again, this is from the same person. This is from Madeline May Co. Again, I don't think I can link a listing because there is no listing. Like I said, this was part of the pattern bundle pocket things, so I don't have a listing for it, but it's Madeline May Co who designed these. And I have these cute little eagles. So let me show you guys a little closer. So it's got this like the neck ruffling and everything. Like, super cute. He's got his little wings, his little hair. So I have 4 of them all together. This is a new one that I'm trying out. Same thing, added some more birds. So I think if I keep in par with the other birds I have, this would either be 15 or 18. The mallard chicks and roosters that I typically carry, I can sell them for 18, so I have a feeling that these guys will probably end up being 18 just because they are technically more work than the other bird patterns I do because of the extra details like the neck feathers and then also this headpiece. So I have a feeling that I'll probably price them kind of in that 18 range because they are almost like the same size as the other guys. So I've learned through my time in doing markets that people really love to compare items to items, and if they're the similar size, they want it to be the same price. I don't know, it's just something I've noticed. So everybody, that is pretty much all of the items that I crocheted in this week, except of course the 8 squids, and I also have 6 tigers, but they are not finished, so we'll roll that into the next video. But I hope you guys enjoyed this What I Crocheted in a Week. We're back at it, at least for this week. Who knows about next week? But I hope you guys have an amazing rest of the day, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!